Some of you old-timers are looking at me like, Pucker, what is that for?
Welcome back, everyone, to Project Nihilist. I'm so glad you're here, and so sorry for you, too. I've always suspected Ken Hovind was the bestest doctor ever, and even them haters knew about it but was keeping it a secret. Did you know Kent can cure everything from cancer to old age?
They're really good looking at 70 and 80.
Not bad, folks. I'd tap 'em too. Let's get into the secrets of long life and cancer prevention.
Oh, I've been drinking urine now for 6 years.
Go away, Dave. Even Kent thinks you're nuts.
They didn't know about microscopic organisms back then. But Dr. Semmelweis insisted that doctors in his hospital wash their hands after examining a dead body. The death rate dropped to 2%. Anybody know what happened to Dr. Semmelweis because of his great discovery?
Me here in the front row.
He was fired. 3 hospitals in a row fired him. Finally, he ended up in a mental institution where a patient murdered him.
Boy, you just can't trust anything Ken Hovind says. This doctor was likely already losing his mind, but he did have observational and documented data from some nuns who helped women that couldn't afford to go to the hospital give birth, and he noticed that they were less likely to be sick and or die. And of course, he wasn't killed by an inmate. He was killed by the guards who beat him, and then he died 2 weeks later.
Just for insisting you wash your hands. 3,000 years earlier, in the book of Leviticus, God had told Moses, tell the people when you touch a dead body, you are unclean, and wash your hands and your body before you touch anybody else. God said that 3,000 years before science figured it out.
We could read all of Leviticus, and it never, ever talks about washing hands. Muslims brag about how their holy book is a better science book because it focuses more on hand washing over foot scrubbing. We could talk about this for an hour, but the truth is, when God bumped into Abraham before genociding Sodom and Gomorrah, Abe's wife washed his feet, and God didn't even wash his hands or recommend washing hands. I think I hit on this in my last video. In Numbers and or Leviticus, a menstruating woman has to leave the camp for 7 days when she's on a rag. She has to then come to the tent of the Lord with 2 little tiny birds, and they're going to be diced up and cut in little pieces, and some of their blood splashed on her because of her sin of offending God with her period. Also, a menstruating woman that comes into the tent of the Lord is commanded to be unalived.
The other philosophy of medicine is based upon creation, which says your body's designed by God, and He gave us the food to meet our needs.
We are ridiculously close to the speed of insanity already. See, you don't know this, but about 5 minutes ago, Kent tried to sell us a book on how not to get cancer while humming a very cute song. Wait, hang on. Now, that's not the song Kent was singing. It's another song.
It's called nutrition therapy. We have much more on that on our video series called The Bible and Health. God not only told him what to do and how to live before the flood, He also told him what to eat. He gave him a perfect diet.
It was beautiful. It was just a perfect conversation.
God said, I want you to eat the herbs. Kids, eat your vegetables. The fruit and the seeds.
Shall be for meat. And then there's the next verse that contradicts what Kent just said, while showing his fruit of choice is the hand-picked cherry.
Genesis 1:29. We don't do that much. We eat the hamburger, French fries, and Coke. God said eat the fruit, vegetables, and seeds.
You be listening to some guy, you see.
When you eat the fruit, you should eat the seed. When you eat a peach, eat the seed.
Danger, 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 danger!
Here's what actually happens when you eat shelled peach bits. The acid in your stomach causes some of the seed to turn into cyanide, and when absorbed by your body, inhibits your red blood cells' ability to exchange carbon dioxide for oxygen.
This guy is fucking stupid!
You say, that thing's hard. Well, crack it open with a hammer. The seed is inside the hull, okay? And by the way, there's a good book. A lady saw my seminar, got all excited, went on a Garden of Eden diet.
Shiver, I thought only 4 women, not including your mom, had ever seen Seminar.
And totally revolutionized her health and wrote a good book on that, Following the Eden Diet, if you want to get that. Your Right to be Beautiful.
Of course, it was Kent who inspired this idiot with a single pose to write a book about stupidity.
You should eat the seed. Now be sure to get organically grown seeds, not the ones raised on steroids and pesticides.
The one thing you don't want to do is use unnatural cyanide to poison yourself.
But the seeds contain a bitter substance called cyanide that'll give you a pucker that'll last about an hour and a half.
If you've taken efforts after a couple hours to get your pucker to go down, you should probably go to a hospital and not trust what Ken Hovind has to say about it.
Some of you old timers are looking at me like, pucker, what is that for? Man, I used to know. My dad says, you know you're getting old when you get all the way across the room to give your wife a kiss and then you forgot why you came. Yep, you're getting old, Dad. But these seeds contain a vitamin called vitamin B17, which is half cyanide. They say, oh, that's poison. No, it's not either. Hydrogen's explosive. Ask the folks on the Hindenburg, they found out. And oxygen supports combustion. Now, who in their right mind would spray hydrogen and oxygen on a fire to try to put it out?
I love how it's so obvious that Ken has never taken a chemistry class. Dihydrogen monoxide isn't the stupid straw man of diatomic hydrogen being mixed with diatomic oxygen. It's more complex than that, and his 5th grade misunderstanding of molecules and his audience's clear lack of education explains why he sounds like a goddamn moron.
Every fireman on the planet. What do you get if you mix hydrogen and oxygen? Water.
Kent's so dumb he fails to mention why if I mix H2 with O2, I don't just instantly get hydrogen peroxide. You know, H2O2.
Okay? Sodium is poisonous. Chlorine is poisonous. You mix them together, you get salt, which is perfectly wonderful.
Well, there seems to be something wrong with his thinking.
I'd love to talk to Kent about how I can turn table salt into elemental sodium and chlorine. It's super easy, but I need to deal with that chlorine gas and keep the sodium from reacting with the water in the air. I really doubt Kent has a clue.
So the cyanide found in the seeds is mixed with benzaldehyde. Both are poison, but together they're harmless.
He's gotten a little twisted on things lately.
Until you eat them and mix them with an acid, and then they break down and then your body absorbs them.
Until they bump into a cancer cell.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
There's a book about this topic called World Without Cancer. Plenty of websites about that topic. If you want to read more, there's a bunch of stuff there on the screen and on my website, drdino.com.
Follow the yellow brick road?
The Hunza people never get cancer. When the tribe was first discovered, their average age was 160.
National Pornographic did an article on it.
Look, on this D- channel, I'm not going to go research a Hovind citation that he would normally call National Pornographic.
This is one of the valleys up there in the Himalaya Mountains. This led to the legend of Shangri-La. How many have ever heard of the Valley of Shangri-La, the valley where you live forever?
Conquistadors called it El Dorado.
Well, they didn't live forever, but they lived an awfully long time. The Hunza people's favorite food to eat is apricot seeds.
What a nightmare.
Today they typically live to be about 90. They've had a lot of contact with the outside world.
Kent has this weird fantasy land in his head. We'd all be sleeping in hyperbaric chambers and eating poison, living under Levitican law, constantly taking our best bread and our choicest livestock and small game to the tabernacle to be splashing some blood around and burning up most of it and leaving part of it with the priests so they can eat too. I was wrong when I said Leviticus never talks about washing hands.
Have I missed it? Have I missed the battle?
But apricot seeds are kind of interesting. They take the apricot seeds and squeeze them and get oil out of them. They put the oil on their skin and the women don't wrinkle. They're really good looking at 70 and 80.
And for some reason, Kent includes a photo of the elders and possibly some teenagers.
Hunzas eat these apricot seeds like we eat peanuts. They just love them. And they never get cancer. You know, people that take nutritional therapy to cure cancer have a much better survival rate. Now, they don't all still survive, I understand, okay, but it's about 10 times the opportunity to live than it is from taking the conventional therapies.
I want to point out how this slide is stupid because it illustrates nothing, because it's comparing primary cancer to metastasized cancer, one of which is a lot more deadly. It is so incredible that Kent puts this up like it's some kind of evidence for his whatever.
There's plenty of good books on this topic. Jason Vale teaches you should eat apricot seeds to cure cancer. And he said cancer cannot survive in a body of a person that consumes apricot seeds.
2019, Jason Vale was arrested again for selling snake oil cancer cures that are toxic.
Jason Vale simply recommended that people eat apricot seeds, and they arrested him and put him in jail. He's still in jail now for telling people to eat apricot seeds.
Well, he wasn't still in jail in 2018, and when he got out, the only thing he knew how to do was like sell people poison and promise it's going to save their lives, which he's technically right. If you die from eating poison, you don't die from cancer.
Because the FDA wants people to take drugs to get well, not seeds to get well, because they can't regulate seeds.
We regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good, too. Gotta be handy with the steal, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
They can't make money off of it. It all goes back to money. You know, follow the yellow brick road.
Follow the yellow brick road.
The money trail. For years, sailors died of a horrible disease called scurvy.
And none of those limey landlubbers ever came down with the scurvy. I mean, lucky for Kent's book, all of the answers were in it before we even figured them out. Because it's our fault we were so dumb for so god dang long.
The British Navy lost 1 million sailors to scurvy.
You can't trust a darn thing that Kent says because it's more like 2 million sailors.
Does anybody know how they cured scurvy? Vitamin C.
I suspect that was probably the extent of Eric's education on this topic too. Daddy Hovind told you everything you needed to know, son.
They didn't even know about vitamin C. They just knew if you eat limes, you don't get it. They called them the limeys, didn't they? Take limes on board.
The scurvy thing is interesting. In 1753, when they figured out what was causing it, it'd take another 40 years before the Royal Navy supplemented sailors with citrus juice. And it was the American sailors who didn't know about or believe in the treatment that called British sailors limeys.
Many diseases that we get today are caused by a deficiency of a vitamin. It's not what you're eating that's killing you, it's what you're not eating that's killing you.
Holy shit, folks. All we have to do to avoid the cancer is eat some cyanide poisoning and take some of that C ? Stuff.
If you don't get enough vitamin B, you get beriberi, pellagra, rickets. All those are vitamin deficiency diseases.
Kent's age-old conspiracy-driven brain on VDDs thinks that anything poisonous can be diluted down and used as medicine. Therefore, everything is medicine, folks. I'm having a weird flashback to a video I seen on Project Nihilist where Kent says something similar to, venomous snake bites are advantageous, folks.
Oklahoma has plenty of rattlesnakes. They have found that if you get a snake bite and you shock it with a stun gun or with a spark plug. Take a spark plug wire off, turn the motor over, zap, and spark.
Yep, nothing terrifying about that.
The snake venom is a complex protein molecule that's all tangled up and your body can't do anything with it. But the electric spark straightens out the molecule and it becomes a vitamin. The Bible says God gave herb for the service of man and bread to strengthen man's heart.
They really went to the moon.
Did you know bread used to strengthen your heart?
They say they went to the moon.
But keep in mind, you know, the love of money, root of all evil. They learned years ago if they take out the vitamin E, the lecithin, and the omega-3 fatty acids, they take them out of the wheat, make the bread with white flour, the bread lasts for months.
Of course, Kent's lying again. Wonder Bread is delivered fresh weekly. You can also buy whole wheat bread that's delivered weekly too. Why isn't Kent bitching about milk and how it sucks because you don't have to get it delivered bi-weekly with your ice? You know, it's so ridiculous that it's stupid.
But the people started dying of heart attacks and strokes and circulation problems. See, it's a simple formula. The whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead. Now, it's not the white bread that's killing you, it's what's not in the bread that's killing you.
It's a global conspiracy, and because you're not eating little babies, you're not getting those baby vitamins.
See, God made bread to strengthen your heart, and if you eat, remember the Bible talked about our daily bread?
Modern day bread is nothing like biblical bread, and Kent isn't going to talk about how it was 1 part sand.
People who were making bread to sell got tired of having half of it go bad on the shelf where they couldn't sell it, so they had to figure out a way to make the bread last longer to increase profits.
Just saith the guy who's constantly asking for donations, aka easy money, while consistently trying to sell his merch, while simultaneously complaining about other people making money. The man is a mental gymnast.
It all goes back to money. Follow the yellow brick road.
You're out to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
There are 2 philosophies of health. One is based upon evolution, which says your body is nothing but chemicals that got together by chance over billions of years, so to treat diseases, you add more chemicals. It's called drug therapy. If you have a headache, you say, "Doctor, I have a headache." He says, "Here, take an aspirin." Well, now hold on a minute. What caused your headache?
Well, there are a plethora of things that can cause a headache. Lack of physical activity, an excess of physical activities, hormones, noise, light, anxiety, food, posture, stress. Need I go on?
Was it the lack of an aspirin that caused your headache? Are you suffering from an aspirin deficiency? Aren't you treating the symptom instead of the cause? I mean, think about it. See, if you're driving down the highway and the oil light comes on your car, you've got 2 choices.
I'm done. Kent's next week sauce analogy about the duality of oil light failures excludes the possibility of a catastrophic engine oil failure when the oil light never comes on. Is it just me, or is Kent trying to get people with cancer to contact him for false hope? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hell, now that I think about it, I have an email address, projectnihilist@hotmail.com.